I think most people today, if they know the tarot at all, probably know it through the New Age movement. Today's New Age movement began in the 1960s and 70s. At that time, many, especially young people, felt a spiritual emptiness that seemed to go hand in hand with the materialistic culture, but by then had become completely dominant. An already wide gulf had opened up between church-going Christianity and popular modern life, and people naturally looked to science and technology for their security. Most people didn't have much use for religion on a day-to-day basis, but as the years mounted up, a lot of us still felt a need for something deeper, something more than just endlessly alternating between working for material things and having fun at weekends or on holidays. A few still went to church, but not many. Most of us who felt drawn to a deeper meaning to life needed something that made sense, something that didn't feel as though you had to be soft in the head to believe in it. That led most of us to turning our backs on Christianity and instead becoming fascinated with exotic foreign religions like Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism. However people tried to explain it, we were searching for new, authentic experiences of spirituality, and that's how we came across tarot cards. The cards here are from two periods in the tarot's history. The two outlying cards are from decks of a type called Tarot de Marseille, although they were produced as far north as Paris before they became exclusively associated with Marseille. The card on the left is from a deck made in Lyon in 1710 by a card maker called Jean Dodal. The one on the right is from the Nicolas Conver deck, produced in Marseille in 1760. The card in the centre comes from a much older Milanese deck known as the Visconti Sforza, after the names of two families joined together in the marriage of Bianca Maria Visconti, the daughter of the Duke of Milan, and Francesco Sforza, a man of military renown. Because most of us do associate tarot cards with New Age, I want to start this introduction by looking at the equivalent named card from the deck that probably most influenced the New Age decks to come, the Waite-Smith deck, which, conceived by Arthur Edward Waite and illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith, was published in 1910. That Waite-Smith deck has been in print ever since and has very much acted as a bridge between the old French and Italian decks and the later New Age ones, which fundamentally changed the original deck's essential character. This is the Waite-Smith version of the Fool card. It's obviously similar to the Tarot de Marseille decks, but has a more romantic feel to it, typical of the illustration of that period and reminiscent of the paintings and illustrations of the pre-Raphaelite movement founded in the mid-19th century. The card depicts a carefree youth, lightly burdened and gaily attired with a floral tunic and with a similarly happy, playful dog by his side for companionship. Both are bathed in brilliant sunlight, a preeminent symbol of the source of earthly life, and they're so preoccupied with the sheer joy of living that although their procession is only a footstep away from the edge of a rocky precipice, they are approaching it without a trace of apprehension. The Fool is traditionally a male figure, but the youth here has feminine features too, and could certainly be seen as a figure of Adam before Eve is taken out of him, and before the fall, when he and Eve break their faith with the providence of their divine creator and instead try to become like him by eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Here, evil awaits the fool's very next step, yet he's entirely unaffected by it, his mind at one with the cosmos, completely undaunted by the world's ordinary dangers. For the fallen mind, then, this is a cautionary card, a bit like one of Aesop's fables, warning of the dangers laying in wait along our earthly paths, and perceiving in the carefree only carelessness. But it's also a profound meditation on the paradoxical conflictedness of human life. We yearn to be at one with the being in which our own exists, yet to survive from day to day, moment to moment, we must attend to our uniqueness, which makes us different to everything else. We can't just melt into the cosmos as if it were a womb. We must engage concretely with the world, indeed struggle with it, to continually secure from it a life for ourselves. If we compare this Waite Smith fool to the two Tarot de Marseille ones set up here, we can see at once that the symbolism is a little different. There's no precipice here, and the dog is not so much a companion as a source of mischief, clawing and scratching at his groin. If we look at the Jean Noblet fool from another Tarot de Marseille deck published in Paris in 1650, we see there that the fool's genitals are completely exposed, leaving no doubt that these are what the little dog is grabbing at. In the medieval period, the dog was a symbol of fidelity and is present in the Lover's card of the Visconti Madroni deck, another Visconti tarot of the 15th century. Like the Waite Smith figure, the fool here is filled with colourful gaiety. He has bells on his belt and on his jester's hat, and brings to mind the joker of conventional playing cards. He's carrying few possessions, and these, as we'll see later, are probably all that he has, indicating that either by choice or through circumstances, he has few concerns that might impede his progress. This impression is reinforced by the antics of the little dog, which surely symbolize the temptations of sexual desire and the consuming attachments that they naturally lead to. The figure is paying no heed to this, but is steadily ambling along, his relaxed gaze looking into the distance ahead of him, which necessarily is his future. If we turn now to the central card, we see once again a difference in symbolism from the preceding cards. Here there's little gaiety, but rather extreme poverty. This fool's clothing amounts to little more than drab tattered rags, dishevelled leggings, and an impromptu headdress of what are probably ostrich feathers, traditionally intended to recall the ostrich's supposed manner of burying its head in the sand. It has a goiter on his neck, which can indicate a deficient diet. Over his shoulder, rather than carrying a staff or a long wooden spoon as in the Tarot de Marseille decks, he's holding a long club to defend himself with. He quite obviously lives the life of a scavenger in extreme poverty and vulnerable to attack from people who have occasion to abuse him for whatever reason, and wild animals or feral dogs. Here his look is more focused on the foreground and vigilant, in contrast to the previous fool's more relaxed panoramic gazes. This is unequivocally a cautionary card, warning of the misery and danger of poverty caused by deliberate or involuntary lack of accomplishment. It corresponds quite closely with the equivalent card in the Mantegna Tarot of the same period, entitled Misero, which also emphasizes the hardship of poverty, showing the same inadequacy of clothing, but with two small dogs present, one biting his calf. In the Mantegna Tarot, Misero is the first card of the first of 5 decades of cards, the first decade depicting 10 conditions of human existence. Not surprisingly, Misero is at the bottom of the ladder. Unlike the Visconti Sforza fool, however, the Mantegna fool does not carry a club, but rather is resting his chin on his hand placed on the top of a staff, and, like the Tarot de Marseille fools, is looking forward wistfully, if not hopefully, into what could have been his future. His gaze looks forward to the next card in the decade, Famio, who represents a servant.